Welcome to Sports Betting Podcast from pregame.com for the week of February 19th, 2010. I'm your host, RJ Bell. I'm joined by Marco D'Angelo, 30 years in the business, Vegas runner, genuine professional bettor here in Vegas, star of the CNBC special on sports or on gambling. This is segment 3 of 4, big game preview. Saturday, we got Texas at Texas Tech. So first up, VR, what in your mind, we're taping on Thursday, what is the true line on this game according to your projections?
Okay, I made Texas the road favorite. I set them at 7.5 and total around 158.5.
All right, so 7.5 is going to split the results, you think?
Yes.
All right, now, Marco, you split the action with your number. What do you put that number at?
I have Texas at -4 in this game. It's a big difference again.
Okay, so if Texas comes out at 4, right away VR thinks there's a ton of value.
Right, and that's what fits in perfectly because that's what I'm looking for. The bookmakers to put out a fair line as opposed to a true line for me to find value.
That's one, and there's 2 ways to gain value. One is they're just wrong about the number. Or number 2 is they put out, and this is Marco's specialty, is they put out a trap game where they know the public got it wrong. They put out a bad number to try to induce the public to bet a certain way, and he goes the other way. All right, so you've got your official free pick on this game.
Yes, I do.
Now, you've been hot on your free picks.
Right here.
What's your numbers now?
15-5.
Since the start of football, 15-5.
Yes, sir.
And you had some futures and stuff, but these are the side picks.
Yeah, this don't even count the Saints future.
Okay. And Marco, you've been hot. What's your record?
16-9.
16-9. Awesome. All right, so give us a reason why you like Texas.
Okay, the first time these two teams met at Texas, we saw a 95-83 final. Texas was a 16.5-point favorite, and they didn't cover the number. The total went off at 160, and it flew way over the total. I think the odds makers or the bookmakers are going to be forced to adjust this total a little bit higher because of the way these two teams have been playing. But I think the true value on this game is going to be on the under. I think we're going to see a much different game than last time around. The reason being is Texas Tech played Texas's style of basketball. Both of these teams love to run, 2 of the quickest tempos in all of college basketball. Texas Tech saw what happened the first time they did approach the game that way. Texas destroyed them, ran them off the court, excuse me. This time around at home, I think they're going to have to approach it a little bit differently and slow it down a little, try to get Texas out of their comfort zone. And I think we're not going to see that up and down, nonstop scoring, and we're going to see a little more defense this time around.
Okay, so we talked about this last week, which is when you have, in basketball, when you have teams that have a similar style, the better team has a huge advantage.
Right.
When you have teams with different styles, sometimes the inferior team can mess up the better team and pull off the upset. You're saying we have, and maybe that's part of the reason too, you think the number, the true number is a little bit higher than Marco thinks the number is going to come out at to split the action. So you're saying that the Tech is going to have trouble running with Texas and they're not even going to try.
Yeah, they're going to have to definitely slow the game down for sure.
All right, what's your thoughts on the game, Mark?
Well, just to go to that one step further, yeah, they were lost playing Texas's style of basketball. And when you look at the numbers from the first game, it is absolutely shocking. I mean, Texas actually should have won by way more than
exactly.
they did.
They blew them out of the gym, man.
Texas shot 55% from the floor to only 44% for Tech. They out-rebounded Tech 46-27. That is a huge disparity with the rebounds. And turnovers, Texas only had 11 turnovers, and with that up-tempo against a real good up-tempo team, Tech turned it over 27 times in that game. You know, if Tech just makes halfway improvement on some of those key areas, they're going to make a ball game out of this because as bad as they played that, they should have lost by 30 points.
Yeah, and let's not forget that we've already seen how to beat Texas, and that's they have no size. You know, they have no inside game, and that's why they've been getting killed when they play away from home. When their jump shot isn't working, this team's beatable. They're very beatable because they don't have no inside game. So I think Texas Tech's going to learn from that and say, why go to their strengths? Let's go to their weakness. Let's slow it down. Let's force them to play the type of game where they're not getting fast breaks and easy buckets.
All right, so let me ask, so give me the percentage of field goals again.
55-44.
Now, isn't there two ways to look at that? One way is Texas shot the lights out, and thus you can't expect that again. If anything, it seems like the score should have been closer. So I guess there's two ways to say it. You're saying that the stats are even worse than the score, but because the stats are so bad, it means that it was an extreme case, and thus Tech can't play this bad again because Texas isn't going to shoot 55%, that kind of rationale.
Exactly.
So do you have a lean towards Tech?
I leaned to Tech in the game. This came close to being my free pick, was this game.
So strong lean, because really it's hard to think there's value laying, a marquee program, Texas Tech on the road. One of the things, and I listen to a lot of talk radio, and I believe if you listen to the right guys, they know what when Bobby Knight knows basketball.
Exactly.
Who we kidding? They're saying that the parity in college basketball is even more this year. It's getting more and more of a level.
There's no
parity.
North Carolina like there was last year when it was everyone.
But even if there's one or two teams, but in general, a team like Texas, which is one of the better half of the Big 12, I don't know exactly where they're at, right? And then you got a team like Tech, maybe that's not in the better half, but really on the road, assuming that Tech always seems to have a good crowd, is I don't think you make a living laying the road favorite here.
Yeah, especially Tech, you're absolutely right. They're 13-2 at home. So, they play very well in their own gym.
One of the other reasons that I think the line, that my number was a little bit lower, is Vegas is going to start to adjust the line on Texas. The bloom's fallen off the rose with Texas. They've lost 4 of their last 5 on the road. And, a lot of people talked about this team at one point that they could go undefeated.
Early on that they were men playing with boys because
they've
of their
really struggled on the road.
And seniors.
The last month, they have not played well on the road at all. So they're going to start adjusting the line.
Yeah, they lost to Kansas State, UConn. They've lost to Missouri last night.
Now, is there another way? You guys both agree that there's more parity in college basketball now than there was 5 years ago.
Absolutely.
So my first thought is you want to play more dogs. If there's not much of a difference, you want to take the points. What other ways do you guys in your handicapping use the reality of the increased parity?
Well, what you said with underdogs, and you've heard the old adage, with underdogs, 3 things can happen, and 2 of them are good when you take an underdog. You should always, in your handicapping, look to the dog first. You need to find a good reason to take favorites. That's what I do when I handicap.
I think also how you could use that by knowing there's parity is not to believe the hype. You hear about some of these teams and they keep talking about them and how good they are, when in reality, there isn't that big of a difference between the second place team and the 5th place team in the conference. Mm-hmm. So I think you should look at the
that's an interesting point. You're saying that because of the 24-hour media cycles and literally a story is dominant and then 3 days later everyone's tired of it, these teams ebb and flow.
Exactly.
The Saints were great, the Saints were horrible, the Saints are great again. You're saying that the media ebb and flows are more extreme than they used to be, while the truth of the matter is teams are more equal, thus playing against the hype.
Exactly, because, not to mention names, but, like ESPN, whatever, Fox, they don't want to talk about Texas Tech. You don't want to talk about Iowa States. It's talking about the Kansases. It's talking about the top tier of each conference. But I don't think there's just that big of a gap anymore between your 2nd and 3rd place teams to your 4th, 5th, and 6th place teams. I think we're going to see that when conference tournament play comes.
Right. You could do worse than saying, okay, tell me the 3 teams that are getting the most mentions positively on talk radio this week and bet against them, and you probably aren't doing so bad.
I agree 100%.
All right, good stuff. Guys, we got one more segment left. We're going to be breaking down another Saturday college basketball game. Remember, you can get all of our videos at pregame.tv. Now, when you go there, you can actually, in the comments section, predict the score of any game that we preview. And if you get the score exactly right, you get $100 to spend at pregame.com. You can spend it any way you want. Now, if you're an iTunes person, just go to iTunes and search for pregame.com, and you can download and listen.